What's up, y'all? This your girl Lola with Lola's Chronicles, and this evening I have interviewing with me Miss Author Elizabeth Snively. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for reaching out to come onto the show. I'm excited to get to know who you are.
Well, I'll take a few moments here and introduce myself. So, I'm Elizabeth Snively. I live in Brighton, Michigan, so not too far from you.
No.
I live in a house of testosterone, so I have a husband of 11 years, two boys, 5 and 3, and a male dog who may or may not be coming in and out of the shot. He's up here with me. So, very, very busy, very active here.
Yeah, I see. But no, you're not far away from me at all. I'm only in Grand Rapids.
Yeah.
No, and I'll definitely keep you in my prayers being in the house with all those males, okay?
Oh, thank you. Yes, I need it sometimes.
So, what age did you begin writing?
Um, so roughly around 8, I actually found a journal a couple years ago from when I was 8 years old, and I wrote in there that when I grow up, I want to be an author. So sometime around that time, but I think I always kind of dabbled. I was homeschooled for the through elementary school and middle school, and my mom would have us write little short stories or recipes or things like that. So I'm not exactly sure when, but definitely by the time I was 8, it was in my mind. That's what I wanted to be.
Be an author. Yes, coming from one another author to another. It's a wonderful feeling when you get that feeling, that spark. So, I'm
Yeah,
glad to hear about it. Yeah, that's a young age. I started around that age, between 8 and 10. So,
yeah.
writing stories and whatnot. So, a lot of people when they hear that, they be like, 8. Yeah, it's possible. It's
Oh,
definitely
yeah.
possible.
Yep.
Would you say writing is a passion or a hobby of yours?
Um, that's an interesting question. So I've said that since I was 8, that's what I wanted to be. But throughout most of my childhood, teen years, it was definitely treated more as a hobby, just with school and everything going on. Even a lot of my young adult life, like I've always wanted to be an author, but when I went to college, I decided to go the more uh sustainable track of education instead of pursuing that dream actively. So again, it was kind of more hobby. But where the passion lies is so I struggle with depression and anxiety. And anytime I would have a low point, I always turn to writing. So a lot of my poems come from the depths of depression or the depths of anxiety. And whenever I would be going through an extended period, I would start working on a novel or something. So there's definitely the passion behind it as far as when I'm at my lowest, that's what I turn to is writing.
So it's like an outlet too for you.
Yes.
Well, yeah, and I can agree because it's definitely an outlet for me, especially if I'm having a tough time or going through a situation or just, dealing with the grief, of lost loved ones. I
Yeah.
turn to writing as well. So, and it's a stress reliever too. You know what
Yes,
I'm
it
saying?
is. Yeah.
So, writing can be very, very, very useful in many ways in our lives.
Yeah.
And, authors really face a lot behind the ink pen. People don't think that it's such an important aspect in our lives because a lot of us write for an outlet.
Right.
Yeah, so I understand that completely. So tell me about this novel. You've written your first novel. How was your journey with writing it?
Um, so it's a novella, so it's short. It's only about 30,000 words. So about 113 pages is what I'm running right now. And I actually started so last January, so 2 Januaries ago, January 22, I made one of my New Year's resolutions was I was going to actively pursue writing as a career. That I've said I wanted to be an author for all these years. I'm actively going to pursue it. And so I started writing a book of poetry. but I never finished it to completion. And then last October, I started talking to another author, and she was having some success on the platform Kindle Vella. And she was telling me about it, and so I decided last October that I was going to try. And so I have been writing um, about twice a month, so every other week, I would write a chapter and put it up on Kindle Vella, and readers can follow along with these episodes. And
Okay.
so it's been a way to keep me going because there were two different times in this past year that I didn't write for several weeks. And I would have readers comment, "When's the next chapter coming out?"
Hmm.
And I'd be like, "Okay, I got to do it now." Like
Okay.
someone's asking for it. And so I was actually able to finish something and write the end. October 22nd was when I did. And so that's the first time I've actually ever started and finished something all the way through.
And you know what? I'm very proud of you for completing that. No
Thank
one
you.
told you. I'm really proud of you because it's a big step writing a book, and it's a challenging thing to do, because when you get people interested and you have life, get to life in with you,
Yeah,
and and they get to asking when's the next one coming, when the next one coming, and you like, man. But I'm proud of you for pushing through and getting that out. So how did you feel once you typed the end? Once you seen the end, how did you feel in that moment?
a mix of emotions. So I felt elated and proud of myself because, like I said, it's the first time with writing something. So I've started a lot of novels. I started that poetry book. I got almost completely done with it and never finished something. So just finally finishing a manuscript, it felt wonderful. But at the same time, I'm like, okay, you're not done. Get into editing. Like, you're on this wave, you finished it. Now you gotta really edit it, send it out to some readers, edit again, and
Yeah.
then publish it. You're not done yet. Don't stop. So that's what I've been telling myself these last few weeks of keep going at it. You're almost there. Don't stop. So I wrote the end, but it's not the end on it
Not
yet.
the end. No, it's not. It is definitely a process, but that's the biggest step. It's actually writing and finishing the book is what I
Yeah.
tell a lot of people that come to me and ask me about advice when writing my books. Writing the book itself is the biggest part of the process. So once you get that part done, everything will flow like clockwork. It's
Yeah.
basically on
So
you.
far.
Yeah, it's on you. It really pushes you and motivates you and show you because once you write the book and it's written, now it's based on you and your next steps and how you do it because procrastination is a big thing. And I deal with that sometimes because I'll be like, okay, I've written the book, I'm done, I'm gonna get to it, I'm gonna get to the editing. But you keep telling yourself that and you keep pushing it until it's done,
Yeah.
and the end, writing the end is a big step. So you celebrate that because that's a big step. And
Yeah.
in the writing world, is typing the end. I see it
Yeah.
so much down my timeline with different authors, and they say I just pressed the end on this novel, and it's like I get what they coming from because ain't no telling what it took you to write this book. So the process. Um, I've also seen you say that you've joined many contests, writing contests. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
So these past 2 years, it's mostly been Facebook contests, and it's mostly been for poems. So some of them are like pictures, and you have to write a poem on the picture, or it's a theme or something. And so most of just the plain Facebook ones, I haven't done like I haven't gone anywhere with them, but it keeps me writing every time I see them to keep doing it, but I'm part of a Facebook group and it's called Moms Who Write,
Okay.
and they do anthologies twice, well, two to four times a year. And so this year I decided, you know what, I'm going to submit to them. So the one that came out for Mother's Day, it was all about being a mom. And so you could submit short stories or poems about it, and I had a poem selected for that anthology. So it came out right before Mother's Day. And then I just got an email this week that they did a poetry anthology, and I had another poem selected
Oh
to be part
shoot,
of
check
it.
you out. Congrats.
Thank you.
Congratulations on that. Really like to hear that. So when do you plan to publish this novella? Novella.
Um, so this one, so Broken and Bleeding Hearts, I finished writing it October 22nd, and I finished my first round of edits November 5th. And so I sent it out to my beta readers Sunday night, and I told them I wanted it back within the month, preferably sooner, but within a month. And then I will take the critiques from them and edit. And so I'm hoping by December 15th it'll be published, but definitely by Christmas.
Yes.
But it
I
will be
look
published in December. I'm like, I am finishing it completely in 2023.
Yes, I'm looking forward to it too. I can't wait. So if you need help with any promotional things, just let me know and I'll love to give you some shout outs once it's out and to share posts and links. So you got my attention with that.
Oh,
I
thank you.
behind you. So, I look forward to it. What advice do you have for someone who's writing their first book?
Don't give up. So even if you like I said, I went several weeks. I think the longest stint I went was like 6 weeks where I didn't write in it at all. And I had several people who are like, I really want this next chapter. You can do I need to know what happens. So have have your tribe or your crew, whatever you call them, but have some people with you while you're writing. So even though you're the only one writing it, have people checking in on you who are going to be supportive of you, and just tell them, "Hey, like I need this accountability aspect, and I need the affirmation." So
Yep.
even if you stop writing for weeks, you can get right back to it and do it and keep going.
Yeah, keep going. That's some good advice because a lot of people get stuck and give up, or they're scared about what people might think or say, and according to their work and the critique. But in the book world, it can be crazy. It can be hectic and very scary. It can be, but you can't let that stop you. So that's perfect advice is to keep going. You gotta keep going no matter what nobody say.
Yeah.
Sometimes, everybody's not gonna like what you write.
Yeah.
And you know, you can't please everybody, but you got a
Yeah.
lot of people that do like what you write. So you gotta write for them and not for those who don't get discouraged because somebody say they don't like it or don't understand it or whatever the case may be. So yeah,
Yeah.
true.
Well, and I've read one person who wanted to write and say that they didn't have a tribe, they didn't have anyone backing them, and no one was interested, but they really wanted to write it. And I told him, I was like, then write it for you. You may not have anyone right now who's reading it, but write it for you. And
Mhm.
once you write it for you, there will be other people who are like, oh, I needed this.
Exactly. Yep. Because and I can say that because before I started my podcast, I was so nervous. I'm like, ain't nobody gonna want to listen to me. I'm like, nobody gonna. I'm not gonna be able to get nobody to come on the show. I'm not gonna be able to. I was downing myself. I was being my
Right.
worst critic. I was really beating myself up about it. Then I finally went on and did it, and I just recently celebrated my first year down. I've done had
Congrats.
over 25 one-on-one interviews, and when I go through my streaming sites, I finally reached 1,000 listeners. So it's like, you know, it's amazing what you think you can't do, and if you actually do it, how
Yeah.
far it go. I'm not
Yeah.
sure. A lot of people are probably not listening to me or pay attention or take what I say into heed, like different episodes, but that's not going to stop me, at
Right.
all from podcasting or having interviews. So you have to do it. That step is taking that step and having faith too.
Yeah.
You
And I
definitely
think
have
it
to have.
goes back to that earlier question about is it a hobby or a passion?
Yeah.
Even if even when I wasn't pushing to publish, there were times that I just needed to write because I needed to write.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how you know it's a passion. It is something that you need.
That you need exactly. That's a good, nice way to put it. That's something that you need, yeah.
Yeah,
Because I don't know what I would do without my ink book, my ink pens, and my notebooks. I
yeah,
don't know what I would do, because like you said, it's a secure outlet for
yeah,
many things. Even dealing with what you're dealing with. It's not,
right.
because depression is real, and it's something that's real conservative over you. So when you have an outlet through that, and it can help you release some of that negative energy, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
So I definitely look forward. I'm gonna have to look and check into some of your poetry and look up some of your poems and check you out.
Well, thank you.
So what would you want readers to take from your books and poems?
So like I said, most of my poetry, the first one that was published in May, it's a, it's my note to my oldest son, and I wrote it 3 years ago, and I was just feeling very down about myself. And so it starts by saying, I'm 100 pounds more than what I was when I was a blushing bride. I no longer put the care into myself. Like, no one cares what I look like, no one cares what I say or do, and just how dark I was feeling about it. And then I talk about how my son comes in and he calls me a princess, and he just wants to lay next to me and for to fall asleep in my arms, and that it doesn't matter how much I've changed, that I know I am beautiful because of what my son sees.
Oh,
So that's the first one, just kind of dealing with the how letting yourself go and letting all that negativity affect you, and then how your kids don't see it.
we got
Um,
everything in our children's eyes. They don't see
yes,
the hurt and pain that we deal with daily. So yeah.
yeah. This one that's going to be published, I think it's coming out in December, but it's called Fossil Fueled. So, uh, I wrote it visiting, so my grandpa died of COVID last year, two
I'm
years
sorry.
ago now,
My
maybe.
condolences. I'm sorry to hear that.
Thank you. And it was sudden. So even though he had had bad health for a long time, it was sudden that that's what took him. And it messed with the family. And I wasn't able to get to him to say goodbye because we were having a horrible snowstorm at the time here in Michigan. So I couldn't get down to him in Indiana. And
Yeah.
so fossil fueled is my visiting the cemetery and just talking with him and getting revived from that and those final words and the closure. So for my poetry, a lot of it, what I want people to get away is that any of those negative emotions that you're feeling, you're not alone. There's someone else who feels them. But also to find that outlet. So for me, it is a lot of time poetry,
Yeah.
but for other people, it may be drawing or painting or crocheting or whatever that creative outlet is. And to find it and to use it to get rid of those negative emotions, to handle and process everything. But mostly, I just want people to know they're not alone. Because even though we've come a long way in the last decade with mental health, there's still a lot of taboo out there about it.
Yes, it
And
is.
so just knowing that there are people speaking out about it hopefully gives them hope.
Yeah.
As far as my novella, so Broken and Bleeding Hearts is really a story about redemption and forgiveness.
Okay. Okay. And it's a lot that we can agree on, and it's a lot that we can touch bases on. So I look forward to even reading it myself because I deal with some depression sometimes.
Hmm.
And I, grief is very, 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 well, I say will be one of the biggest things of depression,
Yeah,
dealing with grief, because a lot of us never get that goodbye, you
yeah,
know. So that causes a lot of issues in the mental state, and I've been trying to talk more on my podcast about mental health because a lot of
yeah.
people,
I saw that.
it starts with people feeling alone,
Hmm.
and feeling like they have nobody. So when you write things like that, poetry, I haven't wrote a poem in so long, and I used to write poems. I started off with poems, but I haven't written any poems in so long. But I've been thinking about maybe starting back, every once in a while, just for me, you know,
Right.
because to see the growth in myself, because like I said, depression comes in many shapes and forms.
Yeah,
And a lot of more people are dealing with depression and they feel alone, and I want to be one of those people to let them know, like you say, they're not alone. I don't
yeah,
want a person to feel like they're alone. That's why I also built my platform to share with you guys what you have going on, to let you know that what you are doing is just as important as what a celebrity is doing.
yeah, for sure.
So, I want to give an opportunity to speak on, because like you said, your poems might touch somebody, that one of my listeners, in a way that I probably couldn't reach them that day, and they hear your interview and be like, okay, I'm going to check her out, and they get on there and they hear one, see one of your poems or read your book and be like, I'm not alone, somebody feels the same way as me.
Yeah,
So that's a good thing, that you really pay attention to one of your readers to take that from you.
yeah, for sure.
So, how can people look up your poetry?
Um, so I have posted several poems on Instagram. So my handle on Instagram is elizabeth.snively. But I think that I keep fiddling around with this poetry book, but it's been difficult because it is a dark book. It does deal when I was in my depths of depression. And so trying to figure out how to actually put it out there has been difficult. But I think it's something that I'm going to pursue in 2024 is to put it together and put it out there. So hopefully, if they can follow me either on Amazon under the author platform, or you can find me on Facebook. So I know you've tagged me in these posts. So that takes you to my Facebook page. Or on Instagram, then you can see if when I put more stuff out.
Yes, and I look forward to it. And I want to congratulate you on finishing your first book.
Thank you.
I look forward to your release coming soon. Would you tell the name of the book again?
Broken and Bleeding Hearts
It will be coming, you
in
guys.
December.
In December, it's coming. I'm
It's
so proud
coming.
of you. I'm very proud of you. And welcome to the author world.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yes, I want to say thank you so much for taking the time to come on the show and reaching out. Thank you for sending people my way to come on the show. I look forward to having them. I really,
Yes.
really, really appreciate you taking the time out. I look forward to reading your book. I'm going to check out some of your poems, and I'm proud of you at the end of the day. And
Well,
you're
thank
not
you.
alone. If there's anything I can help with, you reach out to me and we can go from there.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. And
No
thank you for
problem.
giving me this platform to talk about
No problem. No problem. Mikasa is Tsukasa.
it.
Thank you guys for tuning in. And for those who missed the video, make sure you stream live tomorrow morning on all platforms. I'll be dropping. Catch her out here. I love you guys. Thank y'all for tuning in, and we out.